So we meet after 2 years of preparation for this very special occasion. That's how I would like to see the period that we leave behind us. In fact, all evolution proceeds in these two phases. One which is a period of long preparation, where human beings are pushed by the strength or weakness of their egoism, pushed through their ignorance and desire. The divine is there but behind. And it's only through long spaces of time that we can see and understand that yes, indeed, there was a divine action which steered humanity through all its bluffs and blunders. Who could have ever imagined during the Mahabharata war that a time will come when today man will enter the space age, and so many changes that took place subsequent to that. Sri Aurobindo says that through the Mahabharata, Sri Krishna saved India. How are we to understand the divine action? So during this phase, there is a long preparation. Human beings go through lot of pain and suffering, especially those who are the seekers of truth. It's very strange. That's why paritranaya sadhunam is necessary. Sometimes when I look back, or we look back, today we speak about, a temple coming up and all that. Can we imagine what human beings would have gone through when they would have seen these things demolished, buried, and what pain and anguish they must have gone through? It's documented. If you read some of these writings of those medieval poets, saints, what Guru Tegh Bahadur would have gone through when his children were being buried alive. And that time, who could have imagined that a day will come when this entire Mughal empire will collapse? It would have been beyond anybody's comprehension. It was at the peak with Aurangzeb, and then suddenly we see the decline. So there are two ways that evolution proceeds. One is the slow motion, and then there is a leap. And these moments of leap, Sri Aurobindo says, are the hour of God. So during these periods, God does not stand behind and push us from behind through our ignorance, but stands in the forefront, takes the reins of creation in His own hands and steers us through the doorways of destiny. This is that moment, as we know, last 150 years. If we see from 1872 first to 1973, exactly 101 years of the Leela of Mother and Sri Aurobindo together. Something very interesting. The world changed in ways that we would have never imagined. Nobody had ever imagined the British Empire that one day its sun will ever set. Not only the sun began to set. Now there is a challenge to survive. See, this is how the changes take place. Nobody could have imagined those days. And yet one person was sufficient to steer humanity. Indians, sleeping lions, wake up, you are lions, roar. Don't be like a sheep. That's what, if you read through Sri Aurobindo's writings, I often say that it can make the dead person come alive. Thodi si bhi jaan bachi hai, it just needs a little live breath, and read his writings. Baji, Prabhu and many others, you will wake up. So nobody knew, and that's where we see the leap began. And now in the last 2 years, when apparently people were doing trahi, during this night, a new sun was beginning to rise. Of course, our outer eyes do not see because we are too concerned with our own safety, our own issues. But if we look now, after 2.5 years, the world has shifted. For example, the entire scene of evolution now is Asia. You can see it now. It was difficult to see it a few years back. We can see that the whole thing is shifting towards Asia. We can see what Sri Aurobindo spoke in 1910 about India. The sun of India's destiny will rise and overflow India and overflow Asia and overflow the world. So some people may say that, sir, we don't see it. Wait, then you will see it. What else to say? When has mind ever understood or seen the divine play? From the divine point of view, it is a play, a beautiful play. But from this dark point of view, so much that was hidden suddenly came up. Corona exposed our vulnerabilities, our fears, greeds, ambitions. All these it brought out to the surface, and many other things which are happening. But this is not the time to speak of that, but rather to touch what Savitri says about the future. See, the birth of Savitri, as we know, is so beautiful. It started when Sri Aurobindo came to Baroda as a small little poem, narrative, Earth and Beyond. It had just 2 cantos, Earth and Beyond. So as soon as Sri Aurobindo comes, he starts the work of integrating. Then during the First World War, 1916, Savitri starts. Just imagine, the world was crying. And that time Sri Aurobindo was invoking the sun. And then again during the Second World War, and just before Sri Aurobindo's final plunge into the inconscient to bring the light there, we see Savitri is being carved into the most perfection that human speech is ever capable of. He was raising human speech to the utmost intensities. It is a mantra of mantras. The mother said mantra of transformation. And what was he doing through it? 47, when India, see the difference, 47 when India was struck with famine, created by the very people who looted, had declared, when India got independence, what was told by the then British Parliament, we are making a grave mistake by freeing India, because India won't be able to stand on its 2 legs for long. Documented things. Look at them. Famine, trains, the way people, they can't manage themselves. Self, when you have created and you're yourself, look at the wealth, nothing is there. This was 47. Nobody could have imagined. It's true. Mind would have prophesied like that. And the mind did prophecy. Some of the most intelligent analytical thinkers prophesied like this. But then, final verdict is always passed in the court of history. 75 years down the line, we see that all these prophecies have gone wrong and something else is beginning to emerge, which we yet can see only in the penumbra of our mind. Little bit, the rising sun. So here we are in Savitri, precisely in book 11, which is actually the book of the everlasting day, because we see it forms a sequence where we have the book of double twilight. So light comes and then it dips. So we have the twilight, 2 twilight zones. One is when gods are awake and they begin to inspire human being with sublime impulses. The twilight of the ideal, the dream twilight of the ideal. So we are all moved by some ideal. But then it crashes, the gospel of death, the debate of love and death. Then there is a struggle. First there is the gospel of death and the vanity of the ideal. And then there is debate of love and death. So there is a fight, a struggle, a conflict. And then there is the twilight of the earthly real. Death drags it that, okay, fine, all these ideals may be very nice, high up above in the mind. Let us see whether they can stand the test of challenge of earthly life. So this is how it happens. And here in this ground, we see in Savitri, death is slain. This is very significant because it's all right that inwardly we conquer things, but it has to manifest in the most material world. So death is slain, but Savitri makes a very interesting remark. O death, be still a while my instrument. Slain in principle, but be my instrument, because human souls will need you. For you are my mask. I have given you this terrible mask for a certain work. So this is how book 10 ends. And then in place of death, who was wearing this terrible mask? It is none else but he who plays the flute becomes Chakradhari. I am time the destroyer. The same one. So suddenly, from behind this mask, the beauty that our mortal eyes cannot behold, a mind that could contain the entire world, large orchestral mind, full of smile that stayed in the heart when it had left the lips, and entirety of that divine appears, Chatushpad Brahman. And Savitri pleads our case, because that's what the avatar does, pleads our case. So we have these 2 phases, as I said, one when the divine takes the reins of the world in his own hands, steers us through Kurukshetra. So she takes our reins and pleads on our behalf. And the Godhead of the Vision Wonderful says initially that man is not ready. See, look at man, he still wants only roti kapda makan. I don't want to say further. Wife, family and children. And shop. Bacha or dukan. Hey, you are speaking of supramental world. Man doesn't want it. Savitri says, I'll take care of that. He says, no, but there will be a complete disruption of the links. If men become like gods, it will be a problem, confusion. Savitri says, yes, I know that, but I'll take care of that. How will man bear this tremendous influx of the greater consciousness? Savitri says, I keep my will to save earth and men. It's my responsibility. So she takes charge of this new creation which is going to manifest over a period of time. And then she is asked finally that, okay, ask whatever you choose finally, that I will give to earth and men. And she is the feminine. Repeatedly in those 4 boons we say, the woman's heart, the woman replied. So she replies on behalf of us, give us that peace, not the peace of Shava, but the peace of Shiva for the majestic soul of man on earth. Peace in the battlefield, peace in the storm. That peace you give for earth and men. Granted. Give that oneness, but not the oneness of dissolution in the one. Oneness in the many, multitude. Granted. Then she asks for that, that joy, that energy, that Shakti, that power. She says, okay, that power is given to seize on women and men for that great work upon earth. And finally she asks for thy embrace that rends the living knot of pain. Thy magic flowing waters of deep love, thy sweetness give to me for earth and men. Granted. And then we see that, the Supreme appears and then he starts giving the boon. Now what Supreme has granted is going to be. That's why all these human calculations, Sri Aurobindo very clearly said, it is the hour of the incalculable. The mind can never know. Yet, what has been granted as Tathastu will be. Our denials, our doubts makes no difference to anyone except for us. Because if we move with the staff of faith, we'll have the joy of sharing the victory. But if we remain doubting, still it will happen. But the point is, we will miss out on that beautiful opportunity to stand by the side of divine with our own little lathis, believing that it is because of these lathis that the Govardhan is raised. Though it is Kanhaiya with his little finger. But he gives us the joy. He gives Arjuna the joy. Okay, you shoot the arrows. People will say, what Arjuna? But nobody speaks, poor fellow. Nobody says Arjuna, most people, Krishna, Krishna. So this is the difference, nothing else. So in that course, we had stopped on page 704, where he reveals one by one. The first part of the boon is about Savitri and all those who are conscious collaborators in this work. That is the first part of the boon that we have read. Then he reveals who is Savitri and Satyavan. They have come from age to age to help mankind cross the barriers which come in the path of the evolutionary journey. And that is our hope. Frankly, hope cannot be by seeing what this country is doing or that country is doing or a viral this thing. Hope is not based on all that. Hope is not based on human beings. Frankly, earth has carried its journey from dust to man, not because of us, in spite of us. So, Black Plague, which entirely wiped away 2/3 of Europe, or 1/3, half at least. Could one have ever imagined that subsequent to that we'll advance all this? Hope is not because of man. Hope is because the divine immanent is there in the heart of creation. That is the basis of hope. So, this hope continues, and we come to the point where we had left last time. Page 704, we had stopped with these two lines. Rather, I'll come to this from the top. Second line from the top, page 704. But more there is concealed in God's beyond, that shall one day reveal its hidden face. Picture is not yet complete. It's only interval. Now the real movie begins. It's like when you go to a concert and you see the great sitarist playing initially. You feel there is a discordant note, how slow, how boring. 2 hours have passed. If you ask somebody who is waiting, "You ho kya raha hai? What is happening?" He say, wait. What's going to happen? Just wait. This I didn't come to hear all these slow notes, discordant notes. Somebody is doing tukai of the tabla, somebody is doing tu. Wait, you'll dance in ecstasy when the real music begins. So, but more there is concealed in God's beyond. The divine is infinite. His Leela is not over with man. And even logically, to assume that the evolutionary energy will stop with man is the most illogical thought. Leave aside spiritual, it's the most illogical thought. Something that had, whatever be the process, random accident, chance, call it whatever, doesn't matter. But something that has carried dust to man, it will stop. It is going to go further. In fact, with greater and greater intensity and possibility. We see that actually in the logic of evolution, the 65 million years, we were still with dinosaurs. And slowly we see the evolutionary pace picks up, and with the coming of man, it becomes more and more intense, because in man there comes the possibility of the creation meeting the creator. It's only with the coming of man that creation can meet its creator. Saints, seer, yogis, they reflect this possibility. So if creation can meet the creator in some subtle ground of our being, will it just stop with meeting the creator? Will not it affect the whole creation in time to come? So the supramental change or the divinization of matter, to use it more simply, supermind is the creator aspect of the divine, if you want to put it. Surya is the creator. So here we see a beautiful description of the supermind. So what is the difference? We use the word very loosely. Most people use the word creator for the overmind gods. Brahmaji is creator. When Mother was asked that, Sri Aurobindo says that you are the creator, and in the myths it is written Brahmaji is the creator. So, knowing too much, we miss the... So, Mother didn't say that read the Bhagavad Puran, you will understand. Devi Bhagavad. Mother said, hasn't he told that Brahma is my child? So, we have, just like we say, oh, he is a great creative person. There is only one person who is creative. The creator. So the divine can take the poise of being away from creation. That's important, transcendent. Because otherwise he'll be bound by his own works. He is not. So there is a poise of the divine where he is just Shivoham, Shivoham, Sachidanandoham. That's beautiful. The same Sachidanand when turns towards creation. Who impels him? The Divine Mother. If you see the Rig Veda, 10th mandala, this is the story. That he is there in that state where you cannot say it is day or night, whether it's being or non-being. And suddenly he is seized by an impulse to create. And that impulse is the Divine Mother is stirring him, wake up. And then he leans forward to create. The moment he leans forward to create, out of him, the 1,000-armed, or whichever way we want to put it, supermind is nothing else but his own omnipotence, omniscience. That appears. He appears in that state, effulgent state. And then the creation begins. So is the creator. So he has hidden up the final cards up his sleeve that shall one day reveal its hidden face. You know, there is this story I remember on the ship. It's a very interesting story. You know, mother is there on the ship which is taking her to China, and there is a man who is a dhurt, who is playing clever, who is playing cards, and he is beating everybody. There is one fellow, he is every bit of penny he takes away. And mother is watching all this. Suddenly she gets into her, compassionate mode, and she says, "Can I try play on his behalf?" See, more is hidden. So this fellow says, okay. What have you got? He says, "I'll put everything that is there on stake." The man he has lost almost everything. He says, "Put." And obviously the fellow loses completely. The mother later says, "I could see all his cards." This is the difference. And in the worm foresees the coming God. This is divine. "O thou who disdainest not the worm to be, nor even the clod." And another place, it is in Savitri, in the worm foresees the coming God. That is a divine vision. He can see what is hidden, our cards. But when we see God, we say, "Are you sure you are God? Prove me by a miracle." And when the miracle happens, we say, no, this was doctor, You can't take the credit. So, doctors are very happy to take the credit. They should not. Actually, use the medication. Okay? Somebody else discovered, even if you say logically. But sometimes doctors charm and, sab theek ho jayega works. That's why WhatsApp cure of corona was much better than hospital cures. Let me not enter into debatable territories and come back. So many people used to WhatsApp, "I have these symptoms, what to do? Dada, okay, take these medication." Everybody got all right because there is no fear, everybody is fine. With the advice that don't wear masks. Now this is going really beyond the territories. Okay, there is much more that is hidden. Now mind is all and its uncertain ray. Mind is the leader of the body and life. Mind, the thought-driven chariot of the soul, carrying the luminous wanderer in the night. Right now, who is the charioteer? Mind. That rain. So obviously, it doesn't even know the way, it has no GPS, where to go, what to go. And the luminous wanderer, the Rathi is sitting inside. See how beautifully Sri Aurobindo uses these images. Another image about this mental calculation and the divine grace is typically at the beginning of the Gita. If you read, it is so funny. It's actually funny. Duryodhana is saying, "Look at these fellows, nothing, okay, Bhima and Arjuna at the most. Krishna unarmed, what will he do? Gwala. And look at us, Bhishma, Bhurishrava, Dronacharya, Ashwathama, Kripacharya, Karna, Jayadrath, and me, Duryodhana, with my 100. What these fellows will do?" He's missed the point. The unarmed fellow sitting out there, holding the chariot, is the real decision-making person. He's deciding and the war takes its course. So the same thing is there. Now mind is all. Duryodhana. Mind says, "No, it cannot be. Look here, we had corona. Look here, this happening. Ukraine, Russia, now new thing. Ukraine-Russia war is happening. People had already predicted that in 10 days there is going to be Third World War. Now they don't know what to predict. So they have lost interest in that. Something new has to come. They are waiting for something else. So this is the state. We are ignorant. Why don't we just admit that we don't know? It makes life simple and makes us humble. And then we can simply trust that there is someone who knows, Sri Aurobindo with his tapasya, can we ever imagine? I haven't read in all the spiritual literature. And I have read quite a lot of it. I can tell you such a tapasya as Sri Aurobindo and the mother have done. It is just impossible. People have gone to Himalayas to run away from the world and come back after 10 years. He did tapasya in Himalaya. Sri Aurobindo turned the city into a Himalaya. Entering here his cave of tapasya. Just imagine. This was a dead place cemetery filled with ghouls and, all the, after 6 you could not come out in Pondicherry. He said, "Doesn't matter. I am Shiva. I sit in the cemetery and make the dead alive." So he raised, and today, Pondicherry. See, this is the power. Mother speaks about Sri Aurobindo's power. There is an instance of somebody who died, and Mother saw his whole being gather like Savitri flowers, luminous and fusing into Sri Aurobindo. And she says, I saw him fuse with Sri Aurobindo's supramental light. And then Mother makes a remark, all that he had in him was just this urge to serve Sri Aurobindo. That's all. That's the only yoga he knew. And Sri Aurobindo takes him up to fuse with the solar light. And we all know the story of Mridu, the most impossible person on earth who wouldn't listen to anyone. And when she dies, Sri Aurobindo takes her, and he says, henceforth, anyone who dies here, this is not a Mukti Dham, by the way, but still, will come straight to me. One cannot imagine what power that must be. So that is the power which is leading the world right now. But we, at this point of time, human beings, mind is all to vistas of a far uncertain dawn. Mind is carrying us, it itself don't know where. To the end of the spirit's fathomless desire, to its dream of absolute truth and utter bliss. The luminous wanderer is dreaming of absolute truth, bliss, perfect harmony. All this, the luminous wanderer is dreaming. Who is carrying mind? But mind doesn't know where to go, which way. He has given a goal. Okay, I want to go to the home of truth. So he doesn't know. So he is trying to set on his GPS marker where is truth, and he gets an answer here. So he doesn't know where I have to go, because he's supposed to go, and it's always saying wherever he goes, there it shows the home of truth. And then when he tries to fix it, he says nowhere. So he's all confused. That's the state of mind. But yet the luminous wanderer is going within it. Where is it going? To vistas of a far uncertain dawn, to the end of the spirit's fathomless desire. He's taking a dig at, people who say that the world is born out of desire. If it is desire, then it is a fathomless desire. And what is the desire? To its dream of absolute truth and utter bliss. There are greater destinies mind cannot surmise. That is so obvious. In this age when evolution is fast forward, 3 years back, nobody knew that Bollywood will be replaced by Tollywood and God knows. Nobody knew. Everybody, this movie, when it is going to come, what is happening to this? Nobody could imagine that, Sri Lanka was making pact with China and everybody, hurry, this will be so dangerous. Nobody knew that the Prime Minister of Pakistan will say this country will split into 3 parts. Nobody knew these things. Nobody had imagined. So there are things which we do not know. There are greater destinies mind cannot surmise, fixed on the summit of the evolving path. The traveler now treads in the ignorance, unaware of his next step, not knowing his goal. These mountain summits are very beautifully described. You pass through this winding road. You are waiting for that point, which suddenly you will get the aha feeling. You are looking for it, when it will come. So suddenly when it comes, this is it. You forget all the pain and torture of the journey. So there are things which are fixed, but we have to move through this way. Why we have to move through? So that we are ready. Not deserve in that sense, but we are ready to receive it. Otherwise, if it comes prematurely, somebody lifts us from the this logic of evolutionary struggle. So I had learnt when airlifted to Ladakh during the Air Force. So if you go through the normal course that infantry people go, you stop, and after 17 days, even when they reach there, they are ready for combat. But Air Force fellows, no comfort. So we sat in the AN-32 and straight away to Ladakh. So wonderful it looks. But you become breathless for the next 2-3 days. You are suffering from mountain sickness. You have gone to a beautiful land, but you cannot enjoy it. So this journey is to prepare ourselves to receive that which slays and saves. That's why the journey is long and the struggle is worth it when we know this end. And then he starts revealing. The traveler now treads in the ignorance, unaware of his next step, not knowing his goal. Mind is not all his tireless climb can reach. The tireless traveler is the soul in man. It never gives up. So mind is not the ultimate. There is a fire on the apex of the worlds. There is a house of the eternal's light. There is an infinite truth and absolute power. This is such a beautiful description of the supermind. Several places he will describe. So in our ancient literature, there are 3 places where the fire is found. Fire is the creative energy, divine energy. It is the divine will which pushes things to create. So it is found in 3 places. One is called as Jadagni, in matter. Then there is, you will find in atom also all the 3 as symbolic. Then there is Vidyut Agni, when the mind in darkness there are flashes of light, intuitive. And the third is Saur Agni, the supramental truth. So these are the 3 places where fire is there. And of course, where the creator is there, in the heart cave there, of course it is there. But the Vedas speak of these 3 places where one finds the fire. So at the apex of the world, it is that. In Jada, it has become involved and lost. In Kundalini Yoga, they awaken it from there. Shaila Bala, and she has a whole journey right to the apex. That is the fire which is found at the origin. And what is that fire? Where is it found? It is the house of the eternal's light. There is an infinite truth. It's very interesting. He is using the word infinite. Because we always turn truth into a fixed, narrow, rigid dogma. The moment we bring infinite, it means in its unfolding, you cannot fix it or turn it into a fixed form. The moment we do it, we have lost it. That's why Mother says that if you try to define truth, you will lose it. So she was asked that how to know it. She said there is only one word which is perfect for speaking of that, and that is dharma. This is the only time Mother uses this word, dharma. She says, meaning thereby, it will reveal itself to you if you are sincere about knowing it. But you can't turn it into a rigid dogma. It has happened with me, therefore everybody it should happen. The moment we try to do it. So that's why it is infinite. In each one, at different stages, it is revealing itself differently. That's why it's in Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. The field of the evolving dharma. Through karma, dharma evolves and reveals itself differently. That's the conception in Indian thought, which is the big saving grace. Thankfully, we don't have a column where there is the boring moral science, black and white. Indian thought recognizes that between black and white, there are many shades of grey. So, field of evolving dharma. So, there it is, infinite truth and absolute power. There is nothing which can resist it. This is the absolute power. The Spirit's mightiness shall cast off its mask. Right now it pushes us from behind. Masks are needed. Why? Because we have I'm not talking about these masks, but even here it applies. Because we don't have that trust in that absolute power. We are too much afraid. So we have to use masks. No choice. But the day we shed our fear, that day the mask will be shed. Somebody was asking me one year, sir, mask kab hatega? When will the mask go? Make a prophecy. I said, when fear will go. When fear will go, mask will go. That's it. So, he will shed off this mask. We are right now so afraid that if divine appears, we'll be afraid even of him. Because first thing he'll say, give me. We want. So, divine will say, give me. He'll say, what you want of me? Sir, I have this much money. I don't care about your money. Give yourself. Sir, please, I think I'll come to you a little later. This is our state. Absolute power. When Goddess Kali will appear, what she will ask? Namund Malini, give me your ego. To make it like this, you are going to wear it? Yes. माता थोड़ी देर में आ जाऊं, कुछ भोजन भूख प्यास लगी है. This is our state. Absolute power can be, that's there in the Upanishad, Kathopanishad. It's so, that which frees us of all fear is beheld by human eyes with tremendous fear. Because nothing of us can stand. When Sri Aurobindo describes, nothing made could live. Anything we are attached to, because he has to remake us. Anything which we are attached to, it can't live in that, because we have to be remade. So that's where we see that one day it shall cast off its mask. The Spirit's mightiness shall cast off its mask. Its greatness shall be felt, shaping the world's course. It shall be seen in its own veilless beams. Now we are seeing it through veils. And the veil is the mind, sometimes the vital, sometimes the physical. 3 veils. So when we look through the veil of the body, then we see nothing. It is so obscure. You put a thick veil and somebody says, there is God. Where is God? I can't see it. Physical veil. Vital veil, हाँ, there is God so long as मेरी मन्नत पूरी होती है. My desires are fulfilled, there is God. The day it is not fulfilled, I will go to another place. Vital veil, which tries to judge divine, keeping the ego and desire at the center. The divine is the genie in the bottle, the vital veil. The mental veil, divine, if he has to act, he must act according to my idea. So after the supramental manifestation, there should be no war. This question was asked to Mother directly. She said, why wars? Sri Aurobindo has written this in 1916. Wars will be there, because unless you root out these psychological causes. But Second World War was a different thing. So they have assured us there won't be that kind of devastating catastrophe, that kind of Third World War. Unless the divine changes the plan, but with the supermind here. But wars are nothing but outer manifestation of what is there inside us. As long as there is hate, fear, mistrust, there will be wars. But what will be prevented is this kind of mass catastrophe. Don't we see it now itself? And the Suez Canal crisis, if you look at it, this is nothing. That was the peak of the Cold War. Not the peak, but quite bit. And both of them were on the nuclear button, waiting to press. And divine knows all these. But so we look at the curtain of the mind. If divine is there, this must happen this way. What does the mind know? So one day it will manifest veilless. It shall be seen in its own veilless beams, a star rising from the inconscious night, a sun climbing to supernature's peak. Even now, the sun is here, buried inside the earth, then we will see it climbing to the peaks. Right now, when the mind sees, it sees night, doesn't know where is the sun. But the sun is already decided. It's going to come. Or like a star rising through the night. Then this comes some wonderful line. Abandoning the dubious middle way. This is the problem of our mind. It doesn't know. Little bit it wants of this, little bit it wants of that. A tree beside the sandy river beach, hoping to the skies it topmost bows, like fingers to the heaven it cannot reach. Such is the soul of man, his body and brain, hungry for earth, his heavenly flight detain. Everybody asks this question. भगवान की तरफ चले जाएंगे तो हमारे बच्चों का क्या होगा? As if perhaps much better hoga. You see, Pandu, the great king designate, he left. Kunti was helpless in the forest. Madri has ascended along with Pandu to the heavenly home, and she returns to meet all the ire and hate and everything of the cousins whom they loved. They craved for little love. Except Bhishma, nobody would give them love. Just imagine what was that state. They were worse than orphans. But the divine had decided. Divine was with them. Shakuntala. When the divine is with us, he takes care in his own wonderful way. So this dubious middle way, it is neither here nor there. इस तरफ जाऊं कि उस तरफ जाऊं. So there will be a group of humanity which will abandoning the dubious middle way. A few shall glimpse the miraculous origin. The origin of creation, it's nothing short of a miracle. Mother describes this state when suddenly that point burst into millions and billions and trillions of stars which arrange themselves in space in the form of, even if we see just one galaxy, the Milky Ways and patterns they formed, it's unimaginable actually. And we call it chaos. Because the chaos we create, we call it order. So it looks chaos to us. This is chaos. This is random accident. Then random accident and chaos is better than the order we create. It is miraculous, literally miraculous. What really has bound them? Of course, we know that Sri Aurobindo says it is Mahalakshmi. Her love has bound these stars and whirls them in space on their orbits, in their course, to form such harmonious, beautiful patterns. That is Mahalakshmi. And on that Shaya which Mahalakshmi has created, sleeps in the heart of time the Godhead, Vishnu, with his all-pervading consciousness. What a majestic figure we have got in the Indian thought. So some will glimpse the miraculous origin, and some shall feel in you the secret force. This you, of course, is Savitri. Some will feel. You can't tell anybody that Jabardasti Samadhi par, put your head on. No. Please don't do that. Divine doesn't like it. I remember one story of someone very well I know. She went with her child, 4-year-old child, child, to see the mother. And she was very anxious. Where will the child go? He will disturb. So, squirrel has come to hear the story. So, where will the child go? Here, there. Child is running about, and she is near the mother and she is looking here and there. Suddenly, mother catches her head and puts it on her lap and says, "You forget about him. He is my child. That's it. Put your head on the lap and forget." So, but this is how the mind operates. So, some will see in you, they will feel in you, you are the Divine Mother. And some shall feel in you the secret force, and they shall turn to meet a nameless tread, adventurers into a mightier day. It is an adventure. So all these things come together. Some will feel the presence of the original Adi Shakti in you. That's why when Mother was asked, "Mother, what is meant when you say initiated?" Because there is nothing like initiation in Sri Aurobindo's yoga. She says, when I say I have initiated someone, it means I have revealed myself to that person. They don't know why, but one looks at her and knows she is the Divine Mother. It doesn't matter where she was born, what she studied, didn't study, nothing matters. Why? Well, so janahi jin Ram janahi. There is no logic to it. Divine doesn't act by logic, we try to later on logicize actions. So some will feel, and what they will do then? They will take this, they will follow that nameless thread. There is something which they feel is coming, but they don't know what name to give it. Nameless thread. And they will be the adventurers into a mightier day. It is an adventure. New creation is not, it is adventure, meaning thereby the end is certain, but the path is full of unforeseen events which we won't understand, because it's taking us out of the limits of the mind into something new. When a mother enters a child's room and sees the baby or the child has strewn everything around, he says, don't touch it, it's my order, my order. Mother starts creating chaos. The child doesn't understand. After some time says, yes, this is looking nice. Next time I will also do it like that. That's how children learn. So it is an adventure. It's like a world crashing. So this is how it's an adventure. It's a real adventure. Because all that the mind has planned, organized, arranged based on its logic, then the divine intervention will take away Kurukshetra was an adventure. Nobody knew that none will survive except the 5 Pandavas. If you see, most of the famous one went away. It is an adventure. So it is an adventure where the ego will die, the desires will be snatched away, and what we will be stripped nude like gopis, and then he will say, "Come, you are mine." So that's how it is an adventure. Ascending out of the limiting breadths of mind, they shall discover the world's huge design and step into the truth, the right, the vast. All with the caps. So this is exactly how the Vedic rishis spoke of truth or that ultimate reality. They spoke of these 3 aspects: Satyam, Ritam, Vrahatam. Satyam is truth, but this is not a truth which our mind can define. There is a whole commentary of the mother on cling to truth. She says everybody started feeling, I know the truth. Vegetarianism is truth. This is truth. And they came to me and tell me, Mother, you have written cling to truth. Why are you sparing this fellow? And then they had the temerity to tell her that Sri Aurobindo has written, truth and falsehood cannot stay together in the same. Mother says they came and started telling me. Because they thought perhaps she has forgotten what Sri Aurobindo has written about her. Then she says, what do they understand? Each of them have their shibboleths. And they see the world with that jaundiced vision. So that's why out of the limiting breadths of the mind. That's why this is not a sect, cult or a religion. For the simple reason that you can't limit it by any one formula. So, truth, the infinite truth. Then there is the right with a capital R. This word is best described in Sanskrit as Rit Chit. There is an interesting parallel of the word Rit with Ritu and Rhythm in English. So, right is not something fixed. It's a rhythm which one has to catch, rhythm of the consciousness, Rit Chit. And this rhythm varies, it's not a monotone. Suddenly the movement becomes ascending, you have to be with that. Suddenly the movement follows a different course, you have to be with that. So what is right cannot be fixed by the mind and put into brackets for all times for everyone. Even for each one, as one ascends, this changes. So Rit Chit, the right arrangement of things in space and time. And the vast. So obviously it is not something which is narrow fixed formula. Some will ascend into that. You shall reveal to them the hidden eternities, the breadth of infinitudes, not yet revealed. He is using in plural infinitudes and eternities because every movement that is transient and temporal has its eternal counterpart. So that's why there is another place where Sri Aurobindo says his hidden eternities began to emerge. And we have this in the Indian conception. You have Shiva, who at Mahapralaya withdraws. But you have Mahashiva or Param Shiva. He is always there. You have Vishnu, but you have Mahavishnu. This is the conception. When it comes and integrates with the divine, it is eternal and infinite. But in the movement of space and time, it becomes limited. So every movement has to integrate with that. Some rapture of the bliss that made the world, these fellows will experience some rapture of the bliss that made the world. Some rush of the force of God's omnipotence. Some beam of the omniscient mystery. These pioneers or forerunners of a new race, Mother speaks of it subsequently, Sri Aurobindo speaks of it. few lines down, that they will receive something of the practical omniscience, practical omnipotence, ananda. These are the three aspects. All these three they will begin to experience in their life and it will manifest. And then comes these cryptic lines. We'll go on till 6:15 because today is only one session. But when the hour of the divine draws near. It's a very interesting line, passage. But when the hour of the divine draws near, the mighty mother shall take birth in time. Now, what is this prophecy? You mean the divine mother will come back again? Is it speaking about that? Or is he speaking about telling Savitri that one day you will come as the mighty mother? But mother has already said this is the complete manifestation of the Mahashakti. She has said that. So what is he speaking of? So sometimes we have to just read the whole context and the passage. Sri Aurobindo is describing about the forerunners of the new race. Now you see the next few lines and it clears. But when the hour of the divine draws near, the mighty mother shall take birth in time, and God be born into the human clay in forms made ready by your human lives. That's why we see toward the later part, mother would say, what difference does it make whether it's this body, that body? All bodies are one body. So a time would come when in body, again we have in Savitri, in body and body shall be kindled the sacred birth. And again we see in secret knowledge that then in the person, the veiled creator casts off the mask and unveiled he works. A static oneness and a dynamic power descends in him. So it is the inevitable destiny of human beings that they will house the mighty mother, her force, and become one with them, moved by her. That's how he describes in the mother when he speaks about works. What is the end point? Where one is completely moved by the divine mother, becomes a wave of her movement. You can't make out the difference. So this is how she will be born in time. In the play of time, she will manifest herself in the human clay, in forms made ready by your human lives. It further continues, then shall the truth supreme be given to men. Then the truth will be given. Why? Intellectually, we have been given already, isn't it? What we have been given, yes, we have been given truth, but we can't comprehend. When will it be comprehend? When finally even the body shall remember God. This is how it will come. It's a glorified body and not a crucified body that shall save the world. Then shall the truth supreme be given to men. There is a being beyond the being of mind, an immeasurable cast into many forms. Again, the same thing is reiterated. It is the one who has cast himself in many forms, and he would want, Ekoham Bahushyam, that everyone or those who are ready, they become consciously one in the multitude. They become conscious divine. Basically, they are speaking about the conscious divine in name and form. A miracle of the multitudinous one. There is a consciousness mind cannot touch, its speech cannot utter, nor its thought reveal. This is what we have in the Kena Upanishad. Yan mansa na manute yenahur manomatang tadev brahman tvam viddhi nedam yadidam upasate. The mind cannot reach. Speech cannot utter. This all that is there in Kena Upanishad. Now the time has come to realize it. Yes. But that consciousness, greater consciousness, will inspire the thought and speech and sense and transform it. That will come a little later. But it starts like that. It has no home on earth, no center in man, yet is the source of all things thought and done. Supermind is the original creator hidden in matter, is the supreme, ultimate determinate. Because of him, the stars move in their orbit. Because of him, the seed of a mango grows into the tree of the mango. I understand molecular genetics for those who may have issues. That's the process, not the cause. We must learn to differentiate between intermediate causes and the original cause. Intermediate process. No, it's not. We know molecular genetics. Yes, I've also studied molecular genetics. Molecular genetics, by a series of random accidents, man is coming out of the TikTok of the genes, not promoting TikTok. There is process. Cause is the supermind, pushing things from behind. Therefore, out of indeterminate chaos and disorder, order, harmony emerges despite everything else, which seems to contradict it. So this supermind is hidden in creation, and yet it has no home on earth. Nothing, no form which has been built to house this. It has no center in man. The brain has all the centers. There are some centers which are supposedly meant for some neurologists say that there are some centers in the prefrontal area which are supposed to one day, we don't know what's there. But there is not yet a center which can receive it. That's why the brain will be the first to receive. The heart is the center from where it emerges, but brain must receive. It's the seat of consciousness. That's why one should read Sri Aurobindo to create a center. This center is yet to emerge in human being. Neither there is a form nor a center through which it can act, yet it is everywhere and in everything. See, this is how he is describing the supermind. The fount of the creation and its works. It is the origin of all truth here. The sun orb of mind's fragmentary rays. Infinity is heaven that spills the rain of God. So all the light that we catch here and there, all the truths, combine hydrogen and oxygen, it is water. Why this combination becomes water? Supermind knows. And we can know. That's why it is called a Brahman. Yasmin vigyate vigyati sarvam. You can know everything through that. That's why the rishis were so keen on knowing it. And that's how they had erected a powerful civilization, not this kind of India that we have portrayed, that they were all wearing loincloth and going away. Even now we have had such an attraction for the loincloth that we make a person wearing a loincloth and a stick as the father of the nation. No, we are not loincloth people. We are children of Krishna, Chakrapani. When he stands unarmed, armies shrink back. When Sri Aurobindo speaks, the world listens in pin drop silence. That's what Sri Aurobindo wants us to be. Loincloth, father has been toppled upon us by our step uncles. Let us not be carried away. Enough of this loincloth business. Let us have loincloth. So this is the super mind, It's the creator's consciousness, effulgence, power, creator. Just imagine, that's what we are. Not weak, tired supplicants. Please give us some doles. That's what Savitri says. My will to is fate. When she tells death, Sri Aurobindo doesn't. She says, I have not come to you as a weak supplicant. Death, please give me this. My will to is a fate. This is what he wants us to become, which we will become, but this is the process. The fount, it is the origin of all truth here. Infinity is heaven that spills the rain of God. We don't want to go to those heaven where there are some 70 unspeakables. We don't want to go to the heavens where we hear nice music and little bit dance and we come back. That's the limited heavens, the paradise of the life gods. We are not children who want to play with toys and go to paradise of the life gods. Those who want their limits, let them go there. We are sons of God and must be even as He. We are children of immortality. We are Anandasya Putraha. Death cannot terrorize us. Rather, we are children of those seeing whose face even death thought twice. Am I doing the right thing? Should I go near? That's how it is there in Savitri's story. All the Yamdut run away, say, we can't go near. So Yamraj comes himself. So Savitri says, why have you come? Why didn't you send your fellows? He says, they are afraid of you. Just imagine what he has brought to earth and man. This supermind is not philosophy. It is life. That's what I'm trying to say. What it can create in us. Just imagine that. Infinity is heaven. We are children of infinity, Aditi. That is our heaven, not this heaven of paradise, where we go for a while after killing innocent people and then we say, we are in paradise. If at all, it will be a fool's paradise. So, this is our infinity's heaven that spills the rain of God, the immense that calls to man to expand the spirit, the wide aim that justifies his narrow attempts. A channel for the little, he tastes of bliss. We have heard the call of the immense, not small little adventure. Kya kar rahe ho? What are you up to? What's up? What are you doing? Job description. Trying to become one with God. What? What's your school? We have graduated in the school of ignorance. We are now in the college of knowledge. Who is your teacher? Divine Mother. How does he teach? She teaches using that principle that nothing can be taught. What are you speaking? Sir, what are you understanding? We are her children and she has her own ways of teaching us. So this is what it is. With these 3 lines we'll stop. The immense that calls to man to expand the spirit. We are those who chased even the gods to their highest heavens. Unki santaan hai hum. We are those children who could defy death. Mandavya, who said, what? Karmic law? Change it. It is not right. You know the story of Mandavya? He goes to death and says, why I had to suffer this way? Oh, you had done this karma. What? Change this law of karma. We are children of those like Dadichi who gave away their entire fruit of tapasya to finish Pratasur. We are children of Sri Aurobindo who renounced the realization in his own body to hasten the collective realization upon earth. This is the immensity and the infinity that calls us. And this shall be because this is the promise that Sri Aurobindo have given us. That's all that is required. Namaste. We meet tomorrow at 5:15. And tomorrow we should have 2 sessions. Thank you.